The door creaked open like a confession too long buried, spilling the gray Seattle dawn across my tangled sheets. Ethan stood there, silhouette sharp against the hallway light, his breath ragged from whatever demons had chased him through the night. In that frozen heartbeat, before words could shatter the air, his eyes locked on mine, and the world tilted into something irreversible. I bolted upright, heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted out, sheets pooling around my waist as if they could shield me from the raw hunger in his gaze. "Leon," he whispered, voice cracking like thunder over Puget Sound, stepping closer with hands that trembled not from cold but from the weight of truths we had both pretended away. And then, without warning, he crossed the room in 2 strides, dropped to his knees beside the bed, and buried his face in my lap, sobbing the name of a love he had never dared to claim. Seattle in October wraps itself in a perpetual mist, the kind that clings to your skin and seeps into your bones, mirroring the quiet ache of unspoken longings. I had always loved that about the city, its relentless drizzle a soundtrack to my solitary evenings, sketching designs on my laptop in the corner of my Capitol Hill apartment. The place was a shoebox, really, with exposed brick walls scarred by years of renters before me, and a window that overlooked a street buzzing with baristas slinging overpriced lattes and couples huddled under shared umbrellas. At 28, I was Leon Harper, graphic designer by day, dreamer by night, piecing together logos for startups that promised to change the world while mine felt perpetually on pause. Ethan Caldwell had crashed into my life 4 years earlier, freshman orientation at the University of Washington, where we bonded over shared disdain for the overzealous alumni speeches and a mutual love for bad sci-fi flicks. He was the straight one, the golden boy with sun-kissed skin from summers surfing in California before his family uprooted to the Pacific Northwest, broad shoulders from pickup basketball games, and a laugh that could disarm a room. I was the quiet artist type, hazel eyes that saw too much, the one who noticed the way his gaze lingered a beat too long on certain guys in the dorm showers but chalked it up to bromance. We were inseparable. Late-night study sessions devolving into pizza-fueled debates on everything from climate policy to the ethics of cloning dinosaurs. Road trips up the coast to Olympic National Park where we pitched tents under star-pricked skies and swapped stories of heartbreaks that always seemed to circle back to women for him, ghosts for me. Our friendship was the anchor in my otherwise adrift existence. After graduation, he landed a software engineering gig at a tech firm downtown, the kind with ping-pong tables and free kombucha on tap, while I freelanced from coffee shops, my portfolio growing but my heart stagnant. We kept the ritual alive. Thursday beers at the Pike Place Dive Bar, where the air smelled of salt and fried cod, watching ferries slice through the sound like silver blades. Ethan would talk about his latest date, some vivacious barista named Riley or ambitious paralegal called Brooke, his eyes lighting up with that boyish enthusiasm that made my chest tighten. I would nod, sip my IPA, and sketch invisible patterns on the condensation of my glass, burying the flicker of envy that had no right to exist. That night, the one that upended everything, started innocently enough. It was a Friday, the kind where the rain sheeted down in silver curtains, turning the streets into reflective mirrors of neon signs. Ethan had texted around 8. "Harper, you up for drowning sorrows? Bad day at the office." I knew the tone. His boss, a micromanaging prick named Hargrove, had been riding him hard about deadlines for some AI project that sounded like it could either revolutionize healthcare or just spy on your grandma's cookie recipes. I replied with my usual doors open, fridge stocked, and by 9, he was sprawled on my couch, flannel shirt untucked over jeans that hugged his thighs just right, nursing a beer while ranting about corporate ladder climbing. We ordered Thai from that hole in the wall on Broadway, pad CEW and spring rolls steaming on paper plates balanced on our knees. The TV droned in the background, some Netflix thriller about hackers in Silicon Valley, but neither of us paid it much mind. Ethan's energy was off, coiled tight like a spring, his laughs forced, eyes darting to his phone every few minutes as if expecting a lifeline that never came. "You ever feel like you're just performing?" he asked suddenly, setting his bottle down with a clink that echoed too loud in the small space. I paused, chopsticks midway to my mouth, the spicy basil chicken suddenly forgotten. "Performing what?" He leaned forward, elbows on knees, fingers interlacing in that way he did when wrestling with words. Life, man. Like, every day you're out there smiling, cracking jokes, chasing the next promotion or the next girl. But inside, it's all hollow, like you're waiting for the real script to drop. His voice trailed off, gaze fixed on the rain-streaked window where droplets raced like tears. I swallowed, the weight of his confession pressing against my ribs. Yeah, I said softly. I know that feeling, but hey, that's why we have each other, right? To call bullshit when it's time. He looked at me then, really looked, his green eyes flecked with gold in the lamplight, and for a moment, the air thickened, charged with the unsaid. It was gone as quick as it came. Him clapping me on the shoulder with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. Damn right. To you, Leon. Best friend a guy could ask for. We clinked bottles, the moment dissolving into easier chatter about the Mariners' latest loss and whether we should hike Rainier before the snow hit. By midnight, the beers had piled up, and Ethan was slurring stories from his childhood in Santa Cruz. The waves crashing eternal backdrop to his father's fishing tales and his mother's quiet strength before the divorce splintered it all. I listened. As always, my own stories tucked away like sketches in a drawer, too raw to share. When he started nodding off mid-sentence, head lolling against the couch arm, I nudged him. Crash here. Couch is yours. Bed's mine. He mumbled agreement, kicking off his boots with a thud, and I helped him stretch out, tossing a throw blanket over his frame that rose and fell in steady rhythm. My room was down the short hall, a sanctuary of muted grays and blues, posters of indie bands from my emo phase curling at the edges, sketchpads stacked on the nightstand beside a half-read copy of Ta-Nehisi Coates' essays that always left me pondering identity in the quiet hours. I stripped to my t-shirt and boxers, the fabric cool against my skin, and slid under the covers, the city's hum a lullaby. Sleep came fitful, dreams laced with fragments of Ethan's face, his laugh echoing like a promise unkept. Then the door, that creak, the light, his silhouette. I had been dreaming of water, endless and pulling, when reality intruded with the force of a wave breaking. My eyes snapped open to find him there, inches away, the blanket from the couch draped loose over his shoulders like a cape of defeat. Leon, he breathed again. And this time it wasn't a whisper but a plea, his hands gripping the edge of the mattress as if it were the only solid thing left. What the hell, man? My voice came out hoarse, sleep-shredded, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he crawled onto the bed, the mattress dipping under his weight, his body heat radiating like a furnace in the chill room. I shifted back instinctively, pulse thundering, but there was nowhere to go, the headboard a wooden barrier. His face was inches from mine now, stubble-shadowed cheeks flushed, eyes wild with a storm I had never seen brewing. I can't pretend anymore, he said, words tumbling out like they had been damned too long. Not with you, not like this. Before I could process, his lips crashed against mine, rough and desperate, tasting of hops and salt from unshed tears. It was fire and flood, his hands framing my face with a tenderness that belied the urgency, thumbs brushing my cheekbones as if memorizing the map. Shock rooted me for a split second, then instinct took over, my fingers threading into his hair, pulling him closer, the world narrowing to the press of his mouth, the hitch in his breath that mirrored my own. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, the room spinning in the aftermath. Ethan, I started, voice barely above a murmur, but he silenced me with a finger to my lips, eyes squeezed shut as if opening them would make it all vanish. I know, I'm straight, or I thought I was, but it's you, Leon. It's always been you. Buried under all this bullshit, I tell myself. The confession hung heavy, a bridge between us built on years of almosts and maybes. I pulled him down then, our bodies aligning in a tangle of limbs and whispered doubts, the rain outside a soft applause to the unraveling. That night, in the dim glow of streetlights filtering through the blinds, we crossed the line we had towed for so long, his touches exploratory and reverent, mine guiding with the quiet certainty of longing fulfilled. It was messy, profound, a collision of souls that left us breathless and bare, sheets twisted like the paths we had wandered to reach this point. Dawn crept in slow, painting the walls in watery gold, and we lay there, his head on my chest, my arm draped over his waist, the steady thump of his heart syncing with mine. Seattle stirred below, oblivious to the earthquake in my bed, and for the first time in years, the mist felt like mercy, not mourning. But even as peace settled, a shadow lingered in the corners of my mind, the whisper of what came next in a world that rarely bent for loves like ours. The morning after tasted like stolen sunlight, the kind that pierces Seattle's clouds just long enough to remind you summer exists. Ethan stirred first, his body shifting against mine with a groan that was half sleep, half satisfaction. His arm tightening around my waist as if anchoring himself to the dream we had woven in the dark. I watched him through half-lidded eyes, the way his lashes fanned dark against his cheeks, the faint scar above his left brow from a skateboarding wipeout in high school that he always joked made him look rugged. In the soft light, he was beautiful, vulnerable, and utterly mine, if only for this suspended hour. Coffee brewed in the kitchen, the gurgle of the machine a mundane counterpoint to the electric hum still buzzing under my skin. I slipped out of bed carefully, pulling on jeans and a hoodie, the fabric rough against the places his hands had mapped. From the doorway, I glanced back. He was curled on his side, sheet low on his hips, a portrait of quiet repose that twisted something deep in my gut. How many times had I imagined this, only to wake alone with sketches of his profile tucked under my pillow? He emerged 20 minutes later, hair tousled, wearing my spare flannel that hung loose on his frame, the scent of my detergent mingling with his cologne. "Morning," he mumbled, rubbing sleep from his eyes, then froze, the weight of recollection crashing in. His gaze flicked to me, then away, to the window where rain had resumed its patter. "Shit, Leon. Last night." I handed him a mug, steam curling like question marks between us. "Black, 2 sugars. Same as always." He took it, fingers brushing mine, and the spark reignited, simple as that. We stood there, sipping in silence, the city's hum filtering up from the street, horns blaring at a delivery truck, a busker's guitar strumming folk tunes under the awning across the way. It was ordinary, this moment, and that made it all the more profound, like slipping into a rhythm we had always known but never danced. We talked then, words spilling cautious at first, then freer like loosening knots. He confessed the doubts that had plagued him for months. The way dates with women felt scripted, obligatory, while our easy camaraderie stirred something unnamed, a warmth that bloomed in his chest during our hikes through Discovery Park, the salt air whipping our faces as we crested dunes to views of the Olympics shrouded in fog. "I thought it was just friendship," he said, setting his mug down, leaning against the counter with arms crossed as if to hold himself together. "Deep, yeah, but safe. Then last night, after Hargrove tore into me about the code review, calling it amateur hour, I drove here on autopilot, and all I could think was how you're the only one who gets it, who sees me without the mask." I nodded, heart aching with the familiarity of it. The slow burn of realizing your compass points true north to someone society's rules deem off-limits. I felt it too, for longer than I care to admit. "But you're straight, remember? The guy who high-fives after every Tinder win." He winced, running a hand through his hair, the gesture boyish and endearing. "Yeah, well, labels are bullshit. Or maybe they're just too small." He stepped closer, cupping my face, and kissed me again. This time slow, deliberate, like savoring the first rain after drought. It was a seal, a vow whispered in the steam of cooling coffee. The days that followed blurred into a haze of rediscovery, our friendship evolving into something tender and terrifying. We kept it quiet at first, stolen moments in the interstices of daily grind. His hand lingering on my lower back as we navigated the farmer's market on weekends, fingers tracing patterns on my palm under the table at our Thursday ritual, now laced with glances that promised more. One evening, after a grueling deadline left me bleary-eyed over my drafting table, he showed up with takeout from that Vietnamese spot in the International District, faux fragrant with star anise and basil, and we ate cross-legged on the floor, backs against the couch, his head eventually resting on my shoulder as we watched the credits roll on a rom-com that felt ironically apt. Sex became our language, fluent and evolving. The first time in daylight, afternoon sun slanting through the blinds like golden bars. He was tentative, hands exploring my body with the reverence of a cartographer charting unknown shores. "Tell me what feels good," he murmured against my collarbone, voice husky with uncertainty. And I did, guiding him with whispers and touches until hesitation melted into confidence. Our bodies sinking in a rhythm as natural as the tides pulling at Alki Beach. Afterward, we lay spent, limbs entwined, his fingers idly tracing the tattoo on my ribcage. A minimalist wave ID inked after a solo trip to the San Juans, symbol of solitude turned strength. "This you?" he asked, thumb pressing gentle. "Yeah," I replied. "Reminds me to ride it out." He smiled, that crooked grin that crinkled his eyes, and kissed the ink, a benediction. But beneath the bloom, fissures formed, subtle as cracks in pavement after freeze-thaw. Ethan's world was straight-edged. Colleagues at the office who ribbed him about his bachelor pad and weekend conquests. His sister Mia calling from Portland to grill him on potential bridesmaids for her upcoming wedding. He dodged, deflected. But I saw the strain in the set of his jaw during our calls. The way he'd pace my living room after hanging up, muttering about not ready to blow up my life. I understood. God. I did. The terror of coming out in a city that prides itself on progress but still whispers behind rainbow flags. My own coming out had been a quiet affair at 20, over diner fries with my mom in Tacoma. Her hug fierce and wordless. My dad nodding approval from across the table with a gruff, "Love who you love, kid." But Ethan carried the weight of expectations, a family legacy of stoic providers. His father remarried to a woman who baked apple pies and hosted barbecues where queerness was the punchline in bad jokes. One crisp Saturday, we drove out to Snoqualmie Falls. The roar of the cascade a thunderous backdrop to our picnic of cheese and crackers spread on a checkered blanket. The air was alive with autumn, leaves turning russet and gold, mist rising like spirits from the base. We hiked the trail, hands brushing accidental on purpose, and at the overlook with the water plummeting wild. He pulled me close, burying his face in my neck. "I love you, Leon," he said, words muffled but clear. The first time he'd voiced it beyond the physical. My breath caught, the falls echoing the rush in my veins. "I love you too," I echoed, and we stood there, wrapped in each other, the world falling away. Yet, as November edged in with shorter days and longer shadows, the idyll strained. Ethan started working late, excuses piling like fallen leaves. Team meetings running over, bug fixes that demanded all-nighters. Our nights together dwindled, replaced by texts that grew clipped, affectionate emojis masking the distance. I filled the voids with work, landing a contract for a queer-owned bookstore in Fremont, designing covers that pulsed with color and courage. But the apartment felt echoey without his laughter bouncing off the walls. One night, alone with a glass of Pinot from the Columbia Valley, I scrolled through old photos on my phone. Us at Gasworks Park, kites whipping in the wind. Him mid-laugh at a Mariners game, foam finger absurdly perched on his head. The ache settled deep, a quiet dread that what we'd built was as fragile as Seattle's cherry blossoms, beautiful but fleeting. Then came the call. Late on a Tuesday, his voice tight over the line. "Can I come over? Need to talk." My stomach nodded, but I said yes, brewing tea instead of beer, stealing for whatever storm brewed. When he arrived, rain-slicked and hollow-eyed, he didn't sit, just paced the length of the living room, words tumbling fractured. "Mia cornered me today. About the wedding, about settling down. Said she's worried I'm drifting, that I need to commit to someone real." He stopped, facing me, eyes pleading. And I froze, Leon. Told her about us in my head 100 times. But it stuck. I'm scared. Of losing them, of losing me. We talked until the tea went cold. His head in my lap on the couch. My fingers combing through his damp hair as he unraveled the tangle of fear and faith. "We're in this?" I assured him, voice steady though my heart quailed. "Together." He nodded, pulling me down for a kiss that tasted of salt and resolve. Bodies seeking solace in the familiar. That night, sleep came fitful. his snores a counterpoint to the rain. But in the dark, I wondered if love was enough to weather the gales ahead. Thanksgiving loomed like a specter wrapped in turkey and gratitude. Seattle streets decked in garlands that twinkled premature against the ever-present gray. Ethan and I navigated the holiday minefield with cautious optimism, deciding to host a small gathering at my place, a neutral ground away from his family's sprawling ranch style in Bellevue where his stepmom would fuss over place settings and his dad would grill steaks with the precision of a man avoiding emotions. Just us, Mia, and a couple friends. He proposed over breakfast one Sunday. Pancakes stacked high with maple from a roadside stand in Leavenworth, syrup dripping golden. I agreed, masking the flutter of nerves with a smile, imagining the warmth of shared plates chasing away the chill of potential judgment. Preparations became our ritual, a dance of domesticity that grounded us. I handled the menu, sourcing heirloom turkeys from the market in Ballard, cranberries tart and bright, while Ethan chopped vegetables with a focus that bordered on therapy, knife flashing rhythmic against the board. We laughed over mishaps, like the time the pie crust crumbled into sandy defeat, dusting flour across his nose that I wiped away with a thumb, lingering to steal a kiss. In those moments, the world felt conquerable, our love a quiet rebellion against the scripts we had been handed. Mia arrived first, a whirlwind of energy in her wool coat and boots caked with city mud from Portland, hugging us both with equal fervor, her sharp eyes missing nothing. "So, this is the famous Leon I've heard about forever," she teased, unloading bottles of Pinot Noir and a tray of her signature deviled eggs. Ethan shot me a wink, tension easing from his shoulders as we clinked glasses in the kitchen, the oven timer beeping like an impatient guest. Our other invitees trickled in. My coworker Jax, a non-binary illustrator with tattoos blooming like wildflowers up their arms, and Ethan's buddy from the office, Tyler, a lanky coder with a penchant for dad jokes that landed somewhere between groan and grin. The table groaned under the feast, candlelight flickering across faces flushed with wine and stories. Conversation flowed easy at first, tales of Thanksgiving's past Maya's disastrous attempt at deep-frying a bird that nearly torched her apartment, Tyler's family tradition of charades escalating into full-contact wrestling. Jax shared sketches from their latest zine project, queer histories etched in ink and attitude, and I felt a swell of pride, my designs complementing their vision like puzzle pieces slotting home. Ethan sat beside me, knee pressed warm against mine under the tablecloth, his hand occasionally squeezing my thigh in silent solidarity. But as plates cleared and seconds on pie were demolished, the air shifted, subtle as a draft from the cracked window. Mia leaned back, swirling her glass, eyes on her brother with that sibling intuition that cuts deep. "So, Spill, you've been cagey about your life lately. Anyone special we should know about?" The room hushed, forks pausing mid-air, the rain outside a sudden underscore. Ethan stiffened, his laugh a touch too bright. "What, like you're not the queen of prying?" She persisted, gentle but insistent. "Come on, bro. I see the way you look at Leon. Like he's the damn son." Time fractured. Ethan's face drained of color, my pulse roaring in my ears louder than the downpour. Tyler coughed into his napkin, Jax's gaze flicking to me with quiet support. But it was Ethan's hand retreating from my leg that stung deepest, a withdrawal colder than the November chill. He set his fork down deliberate, meeting his sister's eyes with a steadiness that belied the tremor in his voice. "Yeah, Mia, there is. Leon and I, we're together." The words landed like a stone in still water, ripples spreading. Mia's eyebrows shot up, then softened into a smile that broke wide, genuine. "About fucking time. I knew it." She reached across, clasping his hand, then mine, her grip firm. "Welcome to the family, Leon. Or should I say, finally." Relief flooded me, hot and unexpected, laughter bubbling up as Jax hooped, raising their glass and toast, Tyler mumbling something about plot twist with a grin. Ethan exhaled, shoulders dropping, and turned to me, eyes shining with a mix of terror and triumph. "Told you?" I murmured, lacing our fingers under the table, the simple act a lifeline. The rest of the evening unfolded in waves of warmth, stories turning personal, Mia regaling us with tales of her own queer awakenings in college. The underground parties in the Pearl District where drag queens ruled the night. We lingered late, the apartment alive with the clink of glasses and bursts of songjacks belting an off-key rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody that had us all in stitches. As guests departed into the night, umbrellas blooming like black flowers, Ethan pulled me into the bedroom, door clicking shut, his kiss fierce with the day's pent-up storm. "That wasn't so bad," he breathed against my neck, hands roaming urgent. "No," I agreed, arching into him. "It was perfect." But perfection, in the brittle architecture of new love, is a facade with hairline fractures. The high from the holiday carried us through December, our first Christmas together, a montage of magic. Stringing lights along the fire escape with views of the Space Needle aglow. Baking gingerbread men that came out lopsided but tasting of home. Exchanging gifts wrapped in butcher paper, his a leather-bound sketchbook embossed with our initials. Mine a vintage watch with a face that ticked steady like his heartbeat. We ventured to Victor's on the waterfront for New Year's. Oysters slick and champagne fizzing. Countdown cheers blending with foghorn blasts as we kissed under fireworks exploding in kaleidoscopic glory. Work pulled us in opposite directions, though, the post-holiday grind relentless. Ethan's project hit crunch time. 70-hour weeks blurring into bleary video calls where his face filled my screen. Ty Askew. Promising, "Soon, babe, soon." I threw myself into revisions for the bookstore launch. Nights at the drafting table blurring into dawn. Coffee my constant companion. Distance bred doubt, small at first. Unanswered texts stacking like unanswered prayers. His exhaustion translating to curt replies that nicked like paper cuts. It culminated on a sleety January evening. The city locked in its winter grip, streets slick with ice that mirrored the chill settling between us. I had planned a quiet dinner, candles guttering on the table, lasagna bubbling in the oven from a recipe my mom swore by. He arrived late, coat dusted with flakes, eyes shadowed. "Rough day," he muttered, shrugging off the layers. But when I reached for him, he sidestepped, pouring wine with hands that shook. "Leon, we need to talk." The words were a gut punch, echoing too many breakups I'd witnessed in friend circles. The prelude to unraveling. We sat, plates untouched, the aroma turning cloying. "The team's buzzing about the holiday party pics," he started, voice low. "Mia posted one of us, arm in arm, and Tyler saw, made a joke about my glow-up. Hargrove overheard, pulled me aside today. Asked if I was distracted, if there was something I needed to get off my chest for HR. He raked fingers through his hair, anguish etching lines around his mouth. They think it's a girl, but what if it spreads? What if it tanks everything I've built?" I reached for his hand, but he pulled back, the rejection a blade. We knew this could happen. But hiding? It'll eat us alive. His eyes flashed, defensive. "Easy for you to say. You've had years to own it. My dad's already side-eyeing me after MIA's big reveal, muttering about legacy and all that crap. I can't lose it all, Leon. Not yet." The argument escalated, voices rising over the sizzle of cooling food, accusations flying like shrapnel. Me pushing too fast, him clinging to fear. "This isn't just about you." I shot back, chest heaving. "It's us. Or are you ashamed?" The word landed cruel, but true, and he recoiled as if struck, standing abrupt. "I need air," he said, grabbing his coat, door slamming echo in the empty hall. He didn't come back that night or the next. Texts went unread, calls to voicemail. The apartment, once sanctuary, turned tomb, silence amplifying the tick of the clock, the drip of the faucet like tears. I wandered Capitol Hill in a daze, past the neon glow of gay bars where laughter spilled inviting, but I couldn't cross the threshold alone. Instead, I ended up at the bookstore, fingers tracing spines of Audre Lorde and James Baldwin, words of resilience blurring through unshed tears. A week later, he appeared at my door, hollow-cheeked, eyes red-rimmed. "I'm sorry," he choked, collapsing into my arms, the dam breaking in sobs that racked us both. We made love that night, desperate and reclaiming, bodies a battlefield of forgiveness. But in the quiet after, as snow dusted the windowsill, I felt the first true crack, the whisper that love, for all its fire, might not forge unbreakable bonds. February in Seattle is a tease, glimpses of blue sky taunting through the gloom, much like the fragile piece Ethan and I patched together after the blowout. We vowed communication, no more silences festering like untreated wounds, and for a while, it held. Mornings became our haven, tangled in sheets with coffee breath and lazy kisses, his stubble rasping against my shoulder as he murmured plans for the weekend. A drive to the tulip fields in Skagit Valley, once spring thawed the ground, or kayaking on Lake Union under the full moon. You and me against the drizzle, he'd say, nuzzling my neck, and I'd believe it, the future unfolding like a well-lit path. Work offered distraction, my portfolio blooming with the bookstore's success, reviews praising the cover's evocative lines and bold palettes, leading to inquiries from indie presses in Portland and San Francisco. Ethan hit a milestone on his project, the AI prototype demoing flawlessly to execs who clapped him on the back with promises of promotion. We celebrated at Canlis, the upscale perch overlooking the sound, city lights twinkling below like fallen constellations. Over seared scallops and Cabernet from Walla Walla, he raised his glass, eyes locking mine. To us, Leon, the real deal. The toast lingered, warm as the fire crackling in the hearth, and later, in the valet lot, he pulled me into the shadows of his truck, kisses heated against the fogged windows, hands wandering with the recklessness of youth reclaiming. Intimacy deepened, layers peeling back to expose the marrow. One rainy afternoon, holed up with board games and takeout from the dim sum joint on King Street, he opened up about his father, the man whose approval had chased since the divorce, fishing trips on the Columbia where silence spoke louder than sermons. He never said it, but I knew he wanted a son who was all-American, straight arrow. Coming out is like admitting failure. I listened, tracing circles on his palm, sharing my own scars. The high school bully who shoved me into lockers with slurs that echoed in nightmares. The first boyfriend who ghosted after his parents found our texts. Vulnerability bonded us, threads weaving tighter, turning friendship to foundation. Yet, the world intruded, insidious as fog rolling in. Ethan's promotion came with strings, a corner office and a team lead role, but also Hargrove's watchful eye, offhand comments about personal life distractions that landed like veiled threats. At a company happy hour in Belltown, I tagged along as his plus one, the invitation a small victory, but tension hummed under the craft beer foam. Colleagues clapped Ethan on the back, toasting his rise, but eyes slid to me, curious, appraising. Tyler pulled him aside, voice low but carrying. Dude, rumors flying. Keep it professional, yeah? Ethan nodded tight-jawed, returning to my side with a forced smile, but the damage seeped, his hand stiff in mine as we left. Home became our fortress, nights filled with movies on the couch, his head in my lap as I ran fingers through his hair, dissecting plot twists in Brokeback Mountain, with a mix of ache and admiration. Ennis got it wrong, he said one evening, pausing the film at the iconic tense scene, voice thick. Hiding doesn't save you, it just starves you. I kissed his temple, whispering agreement, but doubt gnawed, a quiet erosion. Spring hinted early, cherry blossoms unfurling pink along University Avenue, and we seized it, weekend getaways to the San Juans ferry hopping to Orcas Island, where we rented a cabin perched on a bluff, waves crashing below like applause. Days blurred into hikes through Madrona groves, red bark peeling like secrets, picnics of local cheeses and salmon smoked over alder. Nights, fire crackling in the stone hearth, would make love on the rug, bodies gilded by flames, his whispers of forever mingling with the loon's cry outside. Marry me someday, he murmured once, tracing my spine, half jest, half prayer. I laughed soft, heart swelling. In a heartbeat, return brought reality's bite. MIA's wedding loomed in June, Portland venue with roses and river views, and Ethan wrestled the role. Best man or bearded cover. Shall understand if I bail, he confided over breakfast burritos from the taqueria on Pike, but his eyes betrayed the lie, the pull of blood thicker than choice. I encouraged truth, Shall love you more for it. But he demurred, promising to think. The betrayal brewed slow, undetected at first. A text glimpsed in passing. Drinks tonight? Miss our talks. Brooke. The paralegal from months back, her name a ghost from his straight days. I brushed it off, trust a muscle flex daily. But unease settled, a stone in my shoe. Then, late shifts stretched, team building excuses piling, and one night, scrolling Instagram in the witching hour, I saw it. A story post from a bar in South Lake Union. Ethan arm in arm with Brooke, her head on his shoulder, caption old flames, new sparks. Heart plummeting. I confronted him the next dawn. Phone thrust forward. Voice steady though inside I shattered. What's this, F? He blinked, coffee mug midway, then paled, setting it down with a clatter. It's nothing, Leon. Just catching up. She's going through a breakup. Needed an ear. Lies layered his words, thin as onion skin, and I pressed. With your arm around her like that? Come on. Defensiveness flared, his jaw setting. You're overreacting. We're solid. This is me proving I can handle the world without dragging you into every mess. The fight erupted, recriminations flying. My insecurity a cage, his evasion a blade. You're running scared again, I accused, tears hot. Using her to test the waters, to see if straight fits better. He denied, vehement, but left slamming the door, echoes mocking my solitude. Days blurred into radio silence, my world contracting to work and walks along the waterfront. The gulls' cries a dirge. He returned contrite, flowers from the market wilting in his fist, apologies tumbling. I panicked. Hargrove cornered me again, hinted at transfers if I don't shape up. Brooke was safe, familiar. But you're my home. We reconciled in tears and touches, bodies reaffirming what words fumbled. But the trust fractured, a hairline that widened with each white lie. Summer solstice brought peak light, but shadows lengthened. At a pride event in Capitol Hill, rainbows draping the streets, we marched hand in hand. The crowd a sea of affirmation, drums pulsing like heartbeats. Ethan beamed, swept in the energy. But post-march beers with Jax turned tense when a stranger flirted bold, hand on Ethan's arm. He pulled away laughing, but later, in bed, confessed, felt wrong, like I'm wearing someone else's skin. I held him, whispering, then be you, with me. Yet, the pullback accelerated, dinners canceled for work, his phone face down more often. I buried in projects, a mural commission for a community center in the Central District, vibrant histories of Black and queer resilience splashed across brick. But nights alone, the bed vast, doubts whispered. Was this the end? Love curdling to loss? The shock came mid-July, sweltering rare for Seattle, heat wave mirage over asphalt. A knock at dusk, Ethan disheveled, eyes wild. I slept with her. The words detonated, world tilting. Brooke, last week, said it was closure, but, God, Leon, I don't know who I am anymore. Collapse followed, my knees buckling. His arms catching as sobs racked us. Betrayal a poison seeping deep. The betrayal carved hollows where fullness once resided. Seattle's summer sun mocking the frost in my veins. Ethan moved out that night, suitcase thumping down the stairs like accusations. His apologies a litany trailing into the humid dusk. I need space to figure this shit out, he pleaded at the door. Eyes pleading for absolution I couldn't grant. Not yet. The lock clicked final, and I slid down the wall, chest heaving, the apartment echoing with ghosts of laughter now turned spectral. Days dissolved into numbness, routine a fragile scaffold. Work became salvation, the mural taking shape under my brushes, layers of acrylic building narratives of survival. Fists raised in protest, lovers entwined under street lamps, colors bleeding vibrant against the district's pulse. Jax joined me one afternoon, ladder steadying and coffee runs, their presence a balm. He's an idiot, they said, dabbing at a rogue streak of cobalt. But you're gold, Leon. Don't let his mess tarnish you. I nodded, throat tight, but the words anchored, a reminder that identity wasn't tethered to one flawed heart. Friends rallied, unbidden but essential. Mia called from Portland, voice fierce over the line. He's spiraling, blaming himself, but that's no excuse. You deserve the sun, not shadows. She invited me down for the weekend. Wedding prep a distraction. Tasting cakes rich with lavender and lemon. Fittings for suits in soft wool that draped like confidence. In her loft overlooking the Willamette, we talked late. Wine loosening tongues. Her stories of messy breakups and rebirths a mirror to my ache. Love isn't linear, she said, clinking glasses. It's a goddamn labyrinth. You'll find your way out stronger. Return brought confrontation. Ethan texted, "Can we talk? Please." I agreed, neutral ground at the park in Fremont, troll statue grinning absurd under the bridge. He arrived early, pacing the grass, jeans rumpled. The watch ID gifted glinting ironic on his wrist. I fucked up, he started. No preamble. Sitting beside me on the bench, distance polite between. Brooke was a panic attack. A grab at normalcy when everything felt like freefall. But it didn't fix anything. Just broke us more. His voice cracked, hands gesturing helpless. I love you, Leon. That part never lied. Tears pricked, anger surging. Love? You shattered me. Eth walked in here thinking straight could save you. Left me picking shards. He nodded, accepting the lash, eyes downcast. I know. Therapy starts next week. Figured I can't run forever. The admission softened edges, but scars remained. Trust a bridge burned. We parted tentative, hug brief, his scent lingering like regret. Healing crept incremental, therapy my own right, sessions in a cozy office near Pike Place with Dr. Elena. A Latina woman with kind eyes and zero bullshit. Grief is love with nowhere to go, she said in our first, tissues box handy as I unraveled the tangle. Joy turned to jagged. Homework. Journaling prompts that spilled raw onto pages. Sketches of fractured hearts mending in mosaic. Nights, I reclaimed the apartment, rearranging furniture like psychic feng shui, plants from the market greening corners, a new playlist of indie folk crooning resilience. Ethan checked in sporadic, texts evolving from apologies to updates. Session 2. Unpacked Dad's expectations. Hard but good. I responded measured, boundaries firm, but the pull lingered, a tide I navigated cautious. August brought heat, and with it, a solo trip to the Cascades, backpack heavy with tent and trails maps, solitude a teacher. On the PCT stretch near Snoqualmie Pass, elevation stripping breath, views unfolding endless, I wept at a summit, wind whipping tears, releasing the weight of what was. You're enough, I whispered to the pines, echo affirming. Fall reemerged, leaves carpeting paths in crimson, and work flourished, the mural unveiling to cheers from the community. Speeches lauding its honesty. My name in local rags beside photos of smiling faces. Pride swelled, independent, and I dated casual. Coffee with a barista named Riley whose tattoos told stories of their own. Laughs easy but sparks absent. Ethan appeared at the unveiling, uninvited but welcome in the crowd, clapping from afar, eyes meeting mine across the throng with quiet pride. Later, text, beautiful work. You're incredible. I replied simple, thanks. The crisis peaked in October, rain relentless, mirroring turmoil. A call at midnight, his voice slurred, background noise of a bar. Leon, need you. Can't do this alone. Heart clenching, I drove through sheets of water, arriving at the dive in Belltown to find him slumped at a corner booth. Eyes bloodshot, Brooke nowhere but her shadow in his ramble. She wants more, he confessed, words tumbling. Pushed for labels and I said no. Told her about you, us. She bailed, called me confused. Sobs followed, and I held him, barflies averting eyes. The jukebox crooning Springsteen like a dirge. We stumbled to my place, old habits dying hard, him crashing on the couch as thunder rolled. Morning brought clarity, coffee black and brutal. This can't keep happening, I said, voice steel. You're drowning, pulling me under. He nodded, hollow. I know, but losing you, it's killing me. The plea hung, and I wavered, Love a stubborn flame. Then fight for it. For real. No half measures. He did, in fits. Therapy reports shared over neutral lunches at the market. Progress in unpacking internalized shame. Books on bisexuality stacked on his nightstand, dog-eared and underlined. Dates resumed, tentative. A hike in Discovery Park. Leaves crunching underfoot. Conversations circling careful around wounds. Touch returned slow. A hand on my back at a gallery opening in Pioneer Square. My designs featured among local artists. His presence a quiet support. Sex followed. One night after a showing. Bodies reconnecting with the hesitance of explorers charting scarred terrain. Whispers of sorry mingling with sighs of surrender. But doubt dogged, a shadow at feasts. MIA's wedding approached, invitation arriving crisp. My name in elegant script beside his. Come as my plus one, he asked over faux steaming between us. Eyes hopeful. I agreed, armor subtle. But the event stirred ghosts. Vows exchanged under Portland oaks. Brooke in the crowd as a cousin's friend. Her gaze cool across the aisle. Reception danced on eggshells. Ethan pulling me close for the slow songs. But whispers reached. Didn't know you swung that way. From a tipsy uncle, Ethan's jaw tightening imperceptibly. After hotel room thick with champagne and tension, he broke. I saw her looking. Felt like Judgment Day. I pulled him close. It's noise. We're signal. Love that night was fierce, reclaiming, but dawn brought resolve. We need couples counseling to rebuild right. He agreed, hand in mine, the Willamette glittering below like promise. November wrapped us in fog, sessions twice weekly. Dr. Raj, a soft-spoken South Asian man with a knack for metaphors, guiding us through the rubble. Betrayal is a theft of safety, he noted, as we unpacked the affair. Ethan's remorse raw, my anger thawing to understanding. Homework. Love letters exchanged, mine detailing the beauty in his brokenness, his vowing transparency. Progress bloomed, small victories. Him coming out to his dad over Thanksgiving turkey, the old man's gruff, as long as you're happy, son. A milestone etched in cranberry stains, yet undercurrents swirled. Ethan's promotion teetered, Hargrove circling with veiled barbs, and stress manifested in distance. Nights where heads stare at the ceiling, murmuring fears of glass ceilings cracked by truth. I supported, but weariness crept, the healer in me tiring. One evening, post-session, walking Queen in Hills, city lights winking below, I voiced it. I love you, but I can't be your only anchor. You have to swim too. He stopped, pulling me into embrace. I am. For us. Winter solstice neared, shortest day, longest shadow, and we planned a ritual. Bonfire at Golden Gardens, letters to burn, releasing past to ash. Flames danced on the beach, waves lapping witness, words curling to smoke. Betrayal, fear, doubt. Ashes scattered to the sound, and in the afterglow, his kiss tasted of rebirth. Bodies joining under stars pricked clear. Hope flickered, fragile but fierce, the path ahead winding but ours. December deepened the divide, holidays a gauntlet of glitter masking the grind. Ethan's coming out rippled outward, colleagues' reactions a spectrum. Tyler's awkward bro hug laced with relief, Hargrove's curt nod veiling disdain. Whispers in break rooms turning Ethan inward, armor up. Home, our sanctuary, strained under the weight, arguments sparking over trifles, dishes left soaking. Socks on the floor, balloons inflating tensions. You're pulling away again. ID accuse, voice edged, and head retort. I'm trying, Leon, but it's like swimming upstream in this city's current. Counseling anchored us. Dr. Raj's office a confessional of sorts, where we dissected the betrayal anew. Ethan owning the selfishness, me excavating the abandonment wounds from boyhood, my dad's quiet absences after the divorce leaving echoes of unworthiness. Forgiveness isn't erasure, Raj advised. It's choosing presence despite pain. We practiced date nights intentional. Ferry to Bainbridge for cider tastings in apple orchards dusted frost. His hand warm in mine on the deck, wind whipping scarves as we toasted to tomorrows. But crisis crested unbidden, New Year's Eve a catalyst. Wed planned intimate. My apartment strung with lights. Playlist of our songs, from the Nationals' brooding anthems to Hosier's soulful ache. Guests minimal. Jax and a date. Mia visiting with her new wife Lena. Laughter flowing with bubbly from the Yakima Valley. Midnight neared, countdown building, and Ethan pulled me to the fire escape. City exploding in fireworks below. His kiss urgent under the pyrotechnic rain. Hey, race to us, he murmured, but his eyes held storms. Inside, chaos erupted subtle. Phone buzz insistent, Ethan glancing, paling. Work, he muttered, stepping to the kitchen. But voices carried his brow furrowing. Jax's hand on my arm supportive. He returned ashen, pulling me aside. Hargrove, emergency code breach. Have to go in. Lies scented the air, and I pressed. Now? On this night. Defiance flickered, then crumbled. Fine. It's Brooke. She's here in town. Wants closure, one last talk. Swear it's nothing. Rage ignited, white hot. On our night? After everything. Guests averted eyes as voices rose. Mia intervening soft. Not here. But damage done. He left into the night. Door whisper compared to the slam in my soul. Alone with friends, I pasted smiles. But tears came later. Curled on the couch. Jax holding space as fireworks faded to silence. Separation followed inexorable. A mutual mercy masked as necessity. Space. We agreed over coffee bitter as regret. His things migrating back to his Belltown loft. The one with views of the Ferris wheel but know us. Days stretched elastic, work a blur. My latest commission for a theater troupe in the U-District demanding abstracts of fractured identities. Brushstrokes therapy in ochre and indigo. Nights, the bed vast. I traced empty pillows, memories mocking. His scent on sheets, laughter in the hall. Grief cycled. Denial yielding to bargaining, what-ifs whispered to the ceiling, then anger. Punching bags at the gym in Queen and sweat stinging like accusations. Depression settled heavy. Appetite fled. Walks along the locks at Ballard turning meditative. Salmon leaping upstream, a metaphor unbidden. Friends fortified. Mia dragging me to Portland for girls' weekend. Lena's cooking soul food that warmed from within. Stories of their own ruptures mending. Jax hosted game nights, board tiles clacking distraction, their quips landing gentle. He's loss, not lack, they'd say, and slowly it sank. Ethan reached out fractured. Texts of progress. Miss you. Therapy helping unpack the bi-panic. Voicemails thick with unsaid. I responded sparse, boundaries steel, but curiosity gnawed. A text leading to coffee neutral at the Elliott Bay Book Company. Shelves towering witness. He looked wrecked, unshaven but eyes clearer. I'm done running, he vowed, hands steady on his latte. Seeing a queer support group downtown. First meeting tomorrow. Pride flickered reluctant, but I held firm. Good, but we? Not yet. Heal yourself first. Months limped, spring uncoiling tentative, tulips defiant in planters. I dated exploratory. A architect named Theo with salt hair and steady gaze. Dinners at farm-to-table in Fremont where conversation flowed unforced, laughs genuine. Sparks kindled, but Ethan haunted peripherally, his shadow in every what-if. One rainy April afternoon, mural tour for a school group, he appeared at the edge, watching quiet, then approached post-talk, rain purling his jacket. Stunning as always, he said, voice soft. You. The compliment landed dual, and I nodded, throat tight. Thanks. How's the group? Hope in his eyes. Transformative. Facing the mess head-on. Crisis personal crested in May. My mom's health scary, a fall in Tacoma. Hip fracture sharp as fear. Hospital smells antiseptic. Her room overlooking the Narrows. I sat vigil, hand in hers frail. Proud of you, kid? She whispered. Morphine slurring but love clear. For standing tall. Tears fell, and in the waiting room, Ethan texted. Heard from Mia. Here if you need. I did, surprisingly. His presence at the cafeteria vending machine a comfort unasked. Coffee handed wordless, shoulder offered for the lean. No more, but the gesture cracked ice, reminding of the good beneath the wreckage. Summer solstice brought reckoning, solstice party at Jax's in Wallingford, backyard strung lanterns, fire pit crackling. Ethan came solo, invitation group but eyes seeking mine across the flames. Conversations circled, beers loosening guards, and later, under the oak, he confessed. I've been celibate since, focusing inward. Realized I was performing straight to please ghosts. Vulnerability disarmed, and I shared Theos' gentle end. Nice, but not us. The admission hung, charged, his hand brushing mine accidental electric. Separation waned, replaced by cautious orbit. Group hangs at the park, frisbee sailing lazy, his throws accurate as amends. Counseling solo continued, Dr. Elena praising growth. You're authoring your narrative now. Art poured. A series of portraits for a gallery show in Pioneer Square. Faces of queer Cetalites in repose. Ethan's among them, permission sought and granted. His gaze captured raw, title unmasked. The breaking point came August heat wave redux, city simmering. A call panicked. Accident. Minor but, come? Hospital again, this time his fender bender on I-5. Adrenaline crash leaving him shaken. I arrived, heart lurching at the sight stitches over brow, arm braced. Stupid merge, he joked weak, but eyes pleaded. We talked through the night, beeping monitors chorus, truth spilling. His group's role in dismantling shame, my fears of rain jury. Dawn broke. I want us back, he whispered. If you'll have me, changed, committed. I paused, weighing the scales, love tipping. Slow. Trial run. Agreement sealed with a kiss chaste. Hospital fluorescent harsh but hope soft. Fall foliage turned, and we rebuilt brick by brick, dates deliberate. Bookstore crawls in Capitol Hill, fingers laced over tomes of poetry. His recitations of Whitman husky. Intimacy rekindled gradual, touches lingering, bodies remembering paths. Betrayal scars faded to silver, reminders not rulers. Holidays approached, Thanksgiving redux plan joint, families blending, his dad's nod warmer, my mom's hug enveloping. Yet, true crisis loomed external. Hargrove's ultimatum whispered. Promotion or personal matters reviewed. Ethan faced it head-on, HR meeting scripted with Raj's guidance, coming out corporate terms clear. Backlash minimal, support surprising Tyler leading allies, Hargrove grumbling retreat. Victory small, but seismic, celebrated with pizza on my floor, grease-slick fingers intertwined. Winter whispered in, solstice bonfire redux, but this time letters to keep. Dreams scrawled, futures sketched. Flames low, his arm around me. Were the story worth telling? I leaned in, believing the path from shock to solace a testament to tenacity. January thawed the last frosts, Seattle shrugging off winter with tentative greens pushing through cracks. Much like the fragile newness Ethan and I nurtured. The corporate stand cemented his resolve, emails from allies flooding his inbox. A quiet network of support that bolstered the walls we'd rebuilt. We moved in together tentative, his Belltown loft traded for a two-bedroom in Queen and views of the sound a daily benediction, unpacking boxes ritualistic. His sci-fi novels shelved beside my art tomes, kitchen stocked with his protein shakes and my herbal teas, a merging of worlds marked by laughter over mismatched plates. Love matured, less wildfire, more hearth, conversations delving deeper into dreams deferred. Ethan enrolled in night classes at UW, coding ethics focus, pondering tech's role in equity. His essays read aloud over dinners of grilled salmon from Pike Place, my feedback sparking debates that ended in tangled sheets. I landed a fellowship, residency in Provincetown for queer artists, but deferred, prioritizing us, the choice a quiet vow. Intimacy flourished, mornings slow with explorations rediscovered. His body map recharted with reverence. Whispers of adoration in the half-light. Spring bloomed defiant, cherry trees arching pink over our walks, and with it, commitments solidified. Pride planning volunteer shift at the fest, booths erecting under May sun, rainbow flags snapping brisk. Ethan manned the ally table, pamphlets on bisexuality erasure distributed earnest. His stories shared halting then fluid, drawing nods from passers-by. I sketched live, portraits free for donors, his face among them, captured mid-smile, title Coming Home. Conflict lingered vestigial, anniversaries triggering tremors. The one-year mark of the betrayal, July heat pressing, we marked with a drive to the cabin on Orcas, waves crashing familiar. Tension simmered en route, silence is heavy, but at the bluff, bonfire kindled, we confronted. Letters from then reread, ashes from prior burnings scattered anew. I chose you then, choose still, he affirmed, voice steady, and tears came cleansing, bodies joining under stars, release profound. Healing journey peaked in vulnerability shared public. Ethan's group presentation at a conference downtown, bisexuality in tech spaces, slides clicking through stats and stories, his voice unwavering. I betrayed love once, chasing acceptance. Now I claim all of me. Applause thundered. My seat front row, pride swelling fierce. After party at a lounge in Belltown, toasts raised, his hand in mine open, no hiding. Summer waned golden, road trip south to California, his Santa Cruz roots calling. Surf lessons at Pleasure Point, boards wax slick, waves tumbling us laughing, salt-stung kisses on the sand. Family dinner at his dad's, stepmom Evelyn's table laden with cioppino steaming, conversation tentative then warm, his coming out revisited gentle, hugs exchanged awkward but real. Brought someone special, Ethan introduced, and I shook hands, belonging budding. Fall etched maturity, MIA's first anniversary bash in Portland, us as couple seamless, dances under string lights, her toast. To loves that weather storms. Work balanced, my gallery show in Pioneer opening to crowds, Ethan's portrait centerpiece, sales funding a trip to New York, queer lit festival where we wandered Chelsea hand in hand, highline views inspiring sketches in his notebook. Crisis final tested in November, Hargrove retiring acrimonious successor ally forward, but Ethan's project faltered, bug cascade threatening launch. Nights blurred stress, him pacing circuits, doubts resurfacing. What if him not enough? I grounded, walks at dusk along the waterfront, fairy horns bellowing encouragement, therapy tag team with Raj fortifying. Launch day dawned crisp, demo flawless, cheers echoing boardroom, his exhale relief palpable. Celebration at home, takeout spread, bodies celebrating slow, gratitude tangible. Winter solstice closed the circle, bonfire at Golden Gardens, friends gathered, flames high. Letters this time vows, mine promising patience, his fidelity forged. Ashes to sea, arms entwined, the sound whispering approval. New year dawned clear, resolutions simple. Presence, pursuit of joy. Through it all, the shock of that dawn intrusion evolved legacy. From rupture to revelation. Teaching that love demands reckoning. Betrayal a teacher harsh but honing. We emerged scarred but whole. In Seattle's embrace. A city of rains and rainbows. Proving queerness not curse but compass.